All right, so we're trying something new. We're having an in-house guest today. How awesome is that?
I like it. I like this.
I was just hitchhiking on the side of the street, and Dwayne told me to come on in. Two old guys are going to be talking, so I'm like, okay, let's go.
Funny thing is, if you look off to my right, between the double doors, there's a big bed in there, so hope Ryan doesn't get any ideas. This is not a seduction technique. This is simply life.
This isn't a broke back mountain podcast, is what you're saying here.
We have spent a lot of time together in a hotel room, though.
Yeah,
over the years.
Well, me and Dwayne, like I said to you before, we went to boot camp together, so that's we've seen each other naked as young, growing men. So yeah,
we've slept 4 deep in a SUV type vehicle in New Orleans too. So
oh yeah, I forgot about that. It was a good time. We won't talk about that. That was before cell phones and cameras back then, or cell phone video cameras. There's no evidence that whole trip at all. Oh, and my name is not Ernest Buttery. I'm drinking out of my grandfather's old coffee cup from the fire department. I just realized I went, oh yeah, they're gonna go, who is Ernest Buttery? Those are the good names. You know what I mean? Ernest Buttery. They don't have those names anymore.
Nope. So anyway, brought Ryan on. Ryan and I have known each other for, I guess, when I started working at 18, around 2002, 2003.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and then eventually became his sports photographer back in. I did that for 3 years. So we've been up and down the road together.
I remember right now. Now it's coming together. I remember those days. I remember when you got hired and or we're talking about that. I do remember that now. Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. One of my favorite, stories about Ryan is, I'm not saying Ryan's not a procrastinator. It's just the way sports works. Everything ends at 10:30 to 11 o'clock. So every single show, I would have to do teleprompter. So we'd be sitting in the studio waiting for Ryan because he would be in there finishing up, doing his last writing, and people would be over the intercom going, Ryan Lemon, where's Ryan? Where's Ryan? Every single day. And then with about a minute left, Ryan would come flying in the door like Kramer, sprint to the desk, throw his stuff down, and then start wiping the sweat off his forehead. But he'd be funny, he'd be talking, he'd be already in character, and then they'd be like, all right, the light would come on and he'd go, and it was every single day.
That's why we love what we did there, because it was that last second, sports, and like you said, putting the highlights together and writing the scripts and running out there and sitting down and then hoping everybody at home, nobody knows that I just sat down, just put my mic on, go, you're on.
No one wants to know how the sausage is made, right?
Exactly
right. What it boils down to, and that's all of our dreams as a kid. I mean, as athletes and a sports enthusiast myself, was having your own sports show. I mean, you think of that growing up, right? And you're like, God, right. Those guys, I remember when ESPN first came out.
Oh,
we're all the same age. And I remember I was a kid, and I remember just glued going, that is the best job in the world.
Yeah.
I'm all, how do I do that? And you got, you're doing it. And Dwayne.
How did you, when you were at Kentucky Wesleyan playing baseball, did you decide was that what you wanted to do when you went to Wesleyan, or did you go in there and do something else?
I went to Wesleyan as a computer science major.
Oh, that's close.
One semester, and I cannot do this. There's no way I can do this. So then I was going to be actually a Kentucky State police officer. I was going to be a criminal justice major.
Oh, boy. We got the same story, Ryan. Ours is pretty close. I started as an engineer.
Oh, did you really?
I started as a mechanical engineer, and I switched to criminal justice and became a federal agent later on in my life. But, yeah, same deal.
I probably would have stayed that if not for my advisor in criminal justice. I was refereeing an intramural basketball game, and I had to call a technical on him during an intramural basketball game because he was being such an ass. And then, my next assignment, I got, a bad grade. I'm like, okay, I got to change.
That's it. Forget it.
But I was working, at the campus radio station, just kind of for fun. And then that's really where I kind of realized, okay, this would be kind of cool to do something like that. So just by working nights and weekends at the campus radio station, I kind of got into the broadcasting.
Because they didn't have a communications degree there, did they?
Not really. They had one, but it was crap. No offense to Kentucky Wesleyan, but it was not very good.
Yeah, well, I mean, even UK's is not the greatest. Western has a good one.
Yes,
UK
they do.
Has
and Morehead State's got a good one. Too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. I think it's more. It got so popular. People. And what the problem with television is, people people on local TV, and they're like, oh man, those people got money. Man, that is not the truth. I mean, you are so broke there that is, I mean, even, and especially a photographer and below, man, you are so broke there because everybody wants to do it.
Yeah.
So they can, you know, if you're like, well, I want more money, they're like, well, you're gone, and I'll bring in the next guy
who can do it cheaper than you can.
You can do it cheaper than you.
Horrible hours and horrible money, and yet we did it because we loved it.
Oh, we loved it.
Yeah, that's
every single day, man. Because I mean, there were days you driving 95 miles an hour down the interstate, just flying to get back to the station because you got maybe 20 minutes to edit a video and get it on air, and then you're running it down the hall, and it just like the old TV shows, you sprint it down the hall, hand it to the guy in the booth, he slams it in the deck, and then they hit play. And I mean, every day.
Yeah.
Well, and it's changed so much when you think about it, because that's what you're saying. There were no majors, really. You either majored in, there was communications. I remember that,
right,
in college. But now it was evolving. I mean, TV has evolved so much. I mean, back when we were going to school, there's still, cable was fairly new. So there wasn't 500 channels. You know, there was maybe 50.
Yeah.
And sports, you know, the sports program out there was ESPN.
That was it.
That was it. It was the groundbreaking deal. That's if, I mean, and the odds of you getting on TV or radio to do sports were pretty slim to none. Now there's podcasts, there's a bazillion talk radio channels. So now these schools created these programs. Ryan, what would be different if you had to do it today as opposed to how you started? First, let's get into your whole progress. Like, what was the progression of your story of how you became where you are today? So everyone understands, because you guys know each other.
Yeah.
Obviously. So.
Well, like I said, when I started working at the campus radio station at Kentucky Wesleyan, so I became a, like you said, communications major. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And part of that, you had to do an internship. So I did my internship at a TV station in Evansville, Indiana, WTVW Channel 7. I did that one whole summer, and then I was hooked. I mean, I knew that's what I wanted to do after doing that. And I got lucky, man. I mean, as soon as I graduated from college, there's a little TV station in Owensboro, Kentucky. They hired me to be the chief photographer. They only had one photographer, but I was a chief photographer, and I made $3.50 an hour. That was my first job coming out of college with a college degree. $3.50 an hour. So I did that for like 8 months. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 months. I did it for 2 months, and then a news reporter left. Well, I got that job. I was a news reporter for like 8 months. And then the sports guy left. Well, then I got his job. I was a sports guy. So that was my first sports job. I did that for a couple months. When the station in Evansville where I did my internship, they needed a weekend sports guy. So, I got lucky, man. I got that job where I did my internship. I already knew them, and it was kind of an easy transition. So I did that for 4 years. I was the weekend sports anchor at the ABC affiliate in Evansville. Went across town to the NBC affiliate in Evansville for 2 years, still doing weekends, before WLEX in Lexington hired me as the main sports anchor. And that was my first job where I was like the main guy. I was not the weekend guy. I was the main guy. And that was in 96. Right when I got here. Kentucky won the national championship in 96. Almost won it in 97. They won it in 98. Tim Couch was 98. I mean, I got here at
right time.
Yeah, for sports. And at that time, too, WLEX just did a total identity switch and became a fan station, the True Blue fan station.
I got a mess going on here.
Went crazy. You look good.
Oh, my hair's sticking up. It's all long. I just rolled out of bed. No. Well, and that's an interesting story because of the sense that I think most people today, and that story, especially to young people, because we're old dudes, new tricks. We're all older guys. I remember $3.35 an hour.
Yeah.
I remember that was minimum wage, what I was making. Not $15 an hour like these burger flippers want today, who are dreaming. I've done the math on that, and we can get into that. If you're real quickly, just because I want to put this in perspective about how poor you are when you started out and the money you were making, you're doing on the weekend. So I guarantee you were obviously doing something else to make ends meet. $15 an hour. If you're married or a couple of two, it's 60-something thousand grand a year. I think it's 64,000 something. I did the math. If you want $15 an hour to serve me fries, you and your wife can have a brand new car. You can have a house, have 2 cars, have a house, have kids, and live a great life. for giving me fries. You go to college, we all went to college. We're making I made $5 an hour out of, while I was in college, and it was a lot of money. It was a good place to work. And I just look at this stuff and where people are today. And I think your story's good too, because you're giving, everyone thinks they can be a star today because there's YouTube, they got their phone, they got Instagram, social media. Hey, look at me, look at me. You were in the right place at the right time, and you still had to grind it out for years and years to make it happen. And I think that's what your story's good. I want people to kind of realize, because we have a lot of snowflakes and people who think they just need to step outside their door and they given a job because they're so great. I've got 12,000 followers on Facebook. I mean, I'm great. Come on, and to prove that, hey, if you want to do it, you're going to suck it up. You're going to be behind the camera. You're going to be picking up trash. You may have to start as a janitor, the custodian. You may have to start at the very bottom. But I like your story because that was pretty good. 350. Oh my God, I remember that. You
35 at KFC. That was my first job.
Well, and you couldn't live off that. And that's the thing people don't realize is, hey, minimum wage isn't for you to live on. I hate to break it to you. If you're making minimum wage as a grown adult, you might want to rethink your career path and your life career path and what you've done in life. You might want to rethink everything.
Yeah.
So, Gary's an asshole. He's a jerk. He just doesn't understand the economy's. Shut up. Shut up. I don't want to go into a burger place and know that you're making $15 an hour to screw up my order, because they usually do. They screw it up anyway. I just had this happen recently at a burger place, and I go, and these idiots want $15 an hour, and they can't even get my order straight on burger and fries. Yes, I do eat them every once in a while.
All right.
But I had to get a tangent. A little tangent.
Rant over. Okay. So you're at Channel 18, and, it's a grind. That job is a grind. And Ryan and I were probably going through about the same transition. I was looking at moving either Charlotte to work with Molly Grantham.
That's right. Yeah.
Or move to DC and work up there with Pump. So I was talking to two stations at once, and about the same time you were in this transition too. Your sons were getting older and starting to play sports, and we work a night job. And that
nights and weekends.
So, that's prime time. And Ryan wants to be a dad. He wants to be a coach. And Ryan's very involved with his kids. And you cannot do that job. So you hit this transition period. So how did all that happen?
You're directly involved with that. I don't even know if you know this. When I got married for a second time, and my wife and I adopted a little boy, and he was 3 years old. And the week that he was going to come and move in with us, to begin that adoption process, was the week of the SEC baseball tournament in Birmingham. Mm-hmm. So you and me and Alan Cutler, the guy, the three of us in the sports department, we were talking about it. I told Alan, I said, look, I can't go, man. Michael's moving into the house. I need to be here. So we decided, hey, man, we can send Dwayne down. Dwayne's going to go shoot the games. He can do the reports. He can send back some look lives and some stuff, and he'd be on camera. Great. Easy answer. But we do it. And I'm in the newsroom with because my wife worked at the TV station. We back up. So she worked day shift and I worked nights. So I've got little Michael. I bring him into the newsroom. It's like one of his first days with us. It's the noon newscast. And our news director comes out of the office and he looks up and he sees the main sports guy at Channel 36 at the SEC baseball tournament, the main sports guy at Channel 27 at the SEC baseball tournament. Where's our main sports guy? And he lit me up. I'm holding my kid, and he came out and just chewed my ass out because I was not down there. And I decided right then and there, I got to do something different. I said, I can't be a dad. I just can't do it. So I applied for some jobs, tried to get some things out. Football season went through, didn't get anything. And during basketball season, and I started taking these real estate classes. I realized, okay, I'm gonna be a realtor. And as soon as basketball season was over, I took my real estate test, passed it, became a realtor, and within 2 months, I was gone. I was out of there.
Yeah. And it was a crazy 2 months because you and I spent a lot of time in HR that last few months.
We did.
Few months.
It was with Cutler
and then we went down to Knoxville, and when you work with other TV stations, you kind of get this. You're connected, you know. And I remember one time I was doing a Tubby Smith press conference, and my tape broke, and I didn't have any video the whole time. So a guy at Channel 36 he said, "Look, man, you're right here. I'm just going to give you the tape, you know, and we'll share it because I mean it's just, you know, we were all buddies." So when we were down in Knoxville, he ran into the same situation, and his situation was a little bit more public because I fed his video back to the station through our feed. Well, our news director saw it, and or somebody saw the feed coming through and saw that it was 36s on our feed. And when we got back, I got hammered.
I forgot about that.
Hammered.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, we were going through this big transition. And I was already thinking about leaving. And just a couple of weeks later, our news director came up to me and called me in the office and said, "Look, we're getting rid of the sports photographer. You're going back to news." And at that moment, I was like,
"Going,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to news," because our news station, especially at that time, were traffic accidents and anything. So you were always running out the traffic accidents and doing all this stuff. And it was not where I wanted to be.
We left about the same time, I think.
We did. I think you might have stayed you might have went before me. No, because it was.
I left in January of 2007 when I finally walked out.
Yeah. So I was right there behind you. I went to Aflac in January of 2007.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Now, when you guys left, I remember this now. It's all coming back to me. I remember Dwayne was just poor. I mean, he goes, "Hey, man,
you don't make any money, man. You got to marry somebody that makes money if you want to be in that business."
And and I didn't know. You know, I was like, "Hey, man, Dwayne's got this great job. He's working for the local network. He's been moving up." And I remember he'd go, "Dude, I got no money." And I remember you told me how much you made one time, and I went, "That's bad."
$11 an hour.
Yeah, it was bad for what it was and the grind. I remember
I wasn't a good negotiator too, so I don't know if I could have made more. Like the job I have now, or any job I have, you kind of know what everybody else makes. I had no idea what I was making compared to everybody else, and I just didn't want to negotiate, so I took whatever they gave me.
I do know just from talking to other people over the years now. Once you got into it, I've met people who've been in local news and all that. Very few make anything. You have to be in a big market, and you have to be there a long time. Mm-hmm. I found that out. Because I was shocked. I went, "You're on TV. You're on TV every day," and they go, "You would not believe what we start out at."
Yeah.
It was, it was like 20 grand, 23 grand.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm all, "You're on TV every day and you're making that?" And they go, "Yeah."
Yeah, reporters are dirt poor.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're general our market size. I think we're 65, so that's that's a pretty good market size. But reporters probably make 23,000 starting out there. You got to be in a top 20 market before you even begin to start making any kind of.
That's why reporters don't stay in this town very long.
Yeah,
they're here for a year or two.
They do their contract and they're gone.
Move up.
Well, you have to. I mean, I don't think there's much choice. I think that's what's changed too, and that's a good segue into the job side of it. Because I like going into because I get asked questions about entrepreneurship and job, all kinds of stuff. And I tell people, my answer is always, "Well, what do you want to do and how do you do it?" And I go, "You got to just do it, and you got to do it for a while." And that's not the answer they want to hear usually. But that's a perfect way of looking at how it's changed too, because now there's so many networks, so many stations, so many podcasts, so many talk radio stations. It's flooded. It's inundated. So you're going to not make much more than what you guys started out 20 years ago. I mean, honestly, it's not going to be much different in pay. But the difference is now, if you can get to a bigger one, you're going to make more if you can get into that higher echelon than they probably used to make. But the local people, I don't know if there's much of a career path in that anymore. Because just from the local news I watched here and there, I try not to watch news. It's pretty depressing anymore. Is that I notice it's a quick flip around. You see them for like 6 months and instant turnaround. Everyone's gone. Only people who stick around are the old timers who have been around for 20 years. And that would tell me there's just no money in it.
Yep.
Yeah. So then you're going from that to, you are becoming an entrepreneur basically. You're going into a realty business, and you have your realty license now, but you really don't know a lot about it. How was that transition?
It was kind of scary, to be honest, because you go from that constant paycheck of work at the TV station to zero paycheck unless you sell a house. I had bought in some rental properties, and that's how I had a little interest in real estate. I decided I'm just going to get my license, and I'm going to try it. And we struggled. Amanda and I, man, we struggled those first 2 years. You know, she's working full time, still at the TV station. So she had my insurance, you know, and she had all that. I bought an Aflac policy through him. Yeah, I did. So it was tough for a couple of years. And so I just started doing like little side jobs, working at KYT, the other station, part-time, filling in on radio shows here, filling in on this. And I was working some stuff with the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, just little side jobs like that.
So you kept your foot in it, though. I mean, you didn't completely disengage. It was like, okay, I have to do something else to make ends meet.
Right.
But this is still my dream.
And Ryan was a known person. I mean, Ryan was somebody that could go out into Lexington and people are going to know who he is. So that definitely helped your real estate business.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. The TV and the radio helps the real estate business, especially now, the show now, KSR. I work with KSR people in real estate a lot that maybe listen to the show in Georgia.
That makes sense.
Moving. He said, hey, I'm moving back home. Can you help me find a house? Yes, I can. Let's go.
Well, that's funny, right? Actually, on the side, that was my first side business was real estate. Same thing. I went in with a buddy. We bought fourplexes. I've owned multiple lots, flipped a couple houses here and there. And I think that's where the entrepreneur mindset kind of kicked in. But it was one of those evolutions of, okay, when I grow up, what do I want to do? Even though I was in the federal government, had a good job, and I liked what I did at the time. But it's interesting that we had similar kind of how we've all kind of gone through this kind of transition in life. And we're all in the same place talking to each other, and it was all very similar.
Yeah.
You know, because we're all pursuing kind of the same thing. We want to, you know, sports are a big part of it, but we've got a podcast now. You've been doing, and you never left it. That's the part I love about your story, is you never left it. You stuck with it. You knew what you wanted to do, and you kept going, because there's more than just your story in there. And that's what I like to talk about in a lot of the stuff I do on this podcast, is bring people on who you can set as an example. Go, this is how it's done. It's not just show up and voila, I'm famous. I've done this. I've done that. It's like, dude, it's about putting in the time.
Yeah.
You got to put in the time, because there's so many books today. There's a lot of podcasts actually and shows about, you know, entrepreneurship and wealth and pursuing your dreams. But not only that, but you do what you enjoy, right? So it's not like work.
You did, as long as you're willing to make the sacrifices and put in the time, if you do something you're happy with, instead of going to a job that you just hate every day, you can't wait till the clock whistle blows and go home because you hate your job.
But at some point, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah. You got to take that step. I mean, it's that, you know, the hardest thing is to take the first step. But once you get in there, you got to hold on.
And you didn't give up. And we just did a show about the 5 characteristics of an entrepreneur. And it was amazing, because you're kind of you're basically hitting all those.
You're filling in those.
You're filling in all of them. And that's what I like about, we're talking about sports and your stuff, but it all flows into this whole thing of what we like to talk about. And I think guys at our age, you get to that point too, where you're like, all right, first phase of life, learn some lessons. That wasn't exactly how I would have planned it if I could go back. But you have to go through, I think, that evolution to get to where you want to go, because those are lessons, sacrifice, perseverance to get to where you want to go. And we're at an age now where we're like, you know, you're like, okay, I was an idiot. I get that now. I thought I knew everything back then, but I was a real idiot, but I did it anyway. You know, and now here I am, and I love your story. I mean, to me, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. So now you're in real estate, you're doing all these side jobs, and there's a little radio show that started in Louisville by a guy that used to be a lawyer, went to Duke Law School, about Kentucky basketball at the worst time of the day on the worst station that you could possibly be on, and somehow you get pulled into this mix. How'd that happen?
Well, like I said, I was a full-time realtor, but I was just doing these little side fill-ins. Hey, Ryan, can you come in and fill in for this guy? Yeah, can you come in and fill in for this guy? Well, Matt called me, and he had a guy named Mark Krebs, the former UK player. He was doing Monday and Tuesdays. He said, man, Mark's off this week. Can you come in on Tuesday? Well, yeah, I can come in on Tuesday. So I did that. A couple weeks later, hey, Mark's leaving the show. Can you do Monday and Tuesday? Yeah, I can do Monday, Tuesday. Well, then the guy that does Wednesday, Thursday, Perrin Johnson, he decides, man, I got another opportunity. I'm leaving. So Matt says, can you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I'm like, well, yeah, I can do that. So within about a 2-month period, I went from just coming in as a fill-in guy to doing, it ended up being Monday through Friday. And as you said, we're on the worst station in the worst time slot in Louisville. But again, I know I'm very blessed. God has blessed me because it was at the perfect time for this show to just take off.
Yeah. So at that time, was the show just in Louisville or had it been picked up in Lexington yet?
Not yet. It did not pick up in Lexington until I had been on the show for about 3 months. And then that's when, since I'm from here, that gave us the little ammunition to have WLAP pick us up.
Were you going to Louisville every day at that time?
No.
Okay, so you were in the studio in Lexington, and he was in the studio in Louisville, which is still the way it is a lot of times.
Correct. Yeah, and we just, the ISDN line you can connect. We just hope you can't tell.
Yeah, you can't.
We're not even in the same studio, let alone we're not even in the same town.
Yeah. But from that point, all of a sudden, like that's when I started listening. I'd never listened to it. Derek Howard, who we used to work at the TV station, we were working together at a office supply company at the time, and he's like, man, you need to listen to this radio show. And I was like, man, I know who Matt is. Matt and all my friends were like these media guys. So I had all these sports media guy friends, and to them, Matt was just this evil person. So I'd never listened to Matt. I read KSR, the website, a little bit, but I remember the first time I saw Matt, we were at a basketball game, and after the game, Tubby's press conference, and this guy comes in, and he's wearing flip-flops, blue jeans, shirt untucked, hat on backwards. And I probably even said to Ryan, I don't remember who I said to him. I was like, who's that douchebag? And it turns out, that's Matt Jones. So, and that's the perception he had with everybody in the media, except for Ryan became friends with him. Cutler became friends with him. And so he has this radio show, and it starts building up steam. And then Ryan comes on board, and Derek's like, man, you got to listen to him. He's awesome. So I started listening to the radio show probably early, right after you started, right when it first came on LAP. And then from there on, it was like lightning in a bottle. It's unbelievable.
I have to ask though, now Matt is from Kentucky, correct?
Matt's from Kentucky. He's from a little small town, Middlesboro, which is in the mountains. Matt's a mountain guy, but he's not a mountain guy. He got his law degree from Duke University, practiced law for a while, and he just said, man, I do not like this job, and he started writing the blog and then working connections and ended up, building this small snowball.
Well, the reason I ask is because anyone who knows sports, a Duke graduate hitting it big in Kentucky,
exactly,
in Lexington area, would never happen. That's why I had to ask. I go, he's got to be from there, because if he was from somewhere else, went to Duke, moved to Kentucky, and tried to do that shit would have never happened.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't say no to Duke Law School.
No. I just wanted to make sure, because I guarantee a couple people were going, huh? That doesn't make sense to me. But that makes sense.
Yeah, he didn't even go to UK. He got his undergrad at Transylvania,
which is here in Lexington.
And then he went to Duke Law School, came back, and him and his buddies started this blog, this kind of a fun thing to do on the side. Started doing podcasts. He begged and begged and begged. Finally got this radio show, and it just took off.
And he did it for free at first.
Did it for free.
He told he said put me on the worst channel at the worst time, and they did.
That's very Howard Sternish. That's what Howard Stern did.
Yeah,
that's how his career started. And again,
I didn't know that.
I know. Yeah, Howard Stern was on one of the worst stations in the country.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where he started. People think, again, that's why I love talking about this stuff. People think Howard Stern is this just guy who came out of nowhere. Howard Stern's 60. He's been doing this since he was 20 in college, and he went through the worst jobs known to man, poor as shit, had no money, hard life, and everyone looks at the end result and goes, oh, he just lucky. No. You make your own luck. And that's why I like Matt said in your story book, it's a great story to hear that, oh yeah, he did it for free. And I'm hoping that younger kids actually watch our show, people aspiring to do something. I give the millennials a hard time. I've had to deal with them. I've tried, they hit me up for jobs all the time, and they don't even know how to talk to you to apply for a job. but I hope they're listening in the sense that we're not here to beat you up. The story is to give you encouragement, to show you how you can do it and how it's really done, and not on someone's blog or reading some BS success book, fake it till you make it or whatever.
Yeah.
And because for me, you know, I was an idiot when I was young too. Bottom line, I'm not saying, I'm not saying, hey, millennials, you're retarded and you're totally different than everyone else. You're the dumb. No, we all were. At your age, we were all stupid. Every generation. I don't care which generation you were. But that's why I hope that at least they watch us and they don't think, God, these guys are always, especially Gary's always beating up on us. No. It's a little tough love. We're trying to give you a little direction here, you know, to see and bring successful people on like Ryan, who's done something, and hear the story. Because this is a good story. This is a great story.
So you guys are doing the show together. You have a good bond. I mean, immediately Ryan and Matt had great chemistry on the radio. And you know, Matt has his role, Ryan has his role, and it worked. When did you guys notice that? Holy crap, we're onto something.
It probably hit me when I noticed like all these other towns across Kentucky were just calling and standing in line to carry our show. Also, that's when I realized that a station in Paintsville picked us up. Station in Paducah picked us up. You know, station in Somerset picked us up. All these little towns across Kentucky, when they started getting on the network.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Explain, Ryan, how that works. So how do these other stations pick you up, or towns? How does this work?
What started with just the stations would call and try to say, hey, how can we carry your show?
Okay.
So we had to figure out a way to syndicate it. So I had to send it up on the satellite to syndicate the show out and try to create a network. And then we had some people at the radio station that were started being aggressive and started calling around the state, hey, are you interested in getting this before your competition does? You know, the next thing you know, I think we're now on 35 different radio stations across the state, and every day it's like there's another one calling, wants to try to work it out to get on. But of course now they've raised the prices. It's expensive now to carry the show. But the people that got in early, you know, they were the ones that got rewarded for it, and they've been carrying this for like over 5 years, some of them.
And here's the amazing thing to me, more than anything else about this show is, you know, me and Ryan did a Sunday morning sports talk show with Jeff Gilstrap, and then later with Marty Moore after Jeff passed away. And I would sit in there and kind of be a third guy that would kind of throw something out every once in a while. Yeah. And I know sports radio shows are not successful. Local radio shows are something you do for fun, and you hope somebody's listening. This, and the beauty about KSR is it's a sports show that talks about sports 15% of the time. It's true. And it's the other 85% that I turn into. You know, I don't want to see Kentucky get bounced from the tournament, but as far as listening to KSR, I look forward to now, the summertime. Because these are when the shows are the best, because you don't have a lot of sports to talk about, so they can talk about whatever they want. So just to give a little background of how KSR is, you know, KSR is this big sports show in Kentucky, and the podcast is downloaded unbelievable amount of times. The website is huge. I mean, it's a huge show, but explain, you know, I want you to tell a story to show just how KSR operates. Even though it's this big conglomerate of a thing, you guys still like run by the seat of your pants.
You know, Dwayne said, I mean, we're the number one show in Kentucky, number one radio show, and we're a sports talk show. Sports talk never beats country music ever.
Oh no, ever.
And somehow this little rink-a-dink 2-hour show is the number one show in Kentucky. So we went to Memphis, Tennessee this past weekend for the NCAA basketball tournament. Kentucky's playing in Memphis, and the most elegant, elaborate hotel in town is the Peabody. Peabody's where the Ducks live upstairs, and they bring the Ducks down on the elevator, and then they open the doors at the big ceremony, and people wait for hours to see these Ducks waddle out of the elevator and jump into a big fountain. It's like a big deal.
Yeah.
Our hotel was right across the street in a Holiday Inn Express. That's where the media hotel was, a Holiday Inn Express. So we decided we should do our show across the street at the Peabody tomorrow morning. Why not? So we go over early, go up to the front desk, talk to a lady. Hey, we'd like to do our show here. We're on from, 10 to 12. We'd like to go up here at this table. We'll be out of the way, so everybody won't interfere with the Ducks down here at the bottom. She said, well, I need to check with somebody. Let me just go check somebody. We'll call you in 10 minutes. Well, we went upstairs, got our spot, got the equipment out, just in case it, they said yes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Next thing we know, it's time for the show to start, and nobody's told us anything. So we went ahead and connected, got it hooked up, started the show. About 20 minutes into the show, these two big bodyguards with earpieces talking into their shoulder, they come walking up. And while we're live on the air, he kind of tapped me on the shoulder, and I took my headsets off, went and talked to him, and he said, you guys didn't get permission to do this. I said, we tried. We went down and asked, and we tried. And they said, they called you and told you you couldn't do it. I pulled my phone out and showed him. I don't have a missed call. Nobody called me because I gave him my number. So he's talking in his shoulder again, and he finally says, dude, you got to get out of here, and you got to get out of here right now. And I said, well, we're live on the air. Can we wait till the bottom of the hour to commercial break? He goes, no, you got to go right now.
Wow.
So while we were live on the air, we literally picked up our equipment, walked around the hallway, down a flight of stairs, through the lobby while we're still live.
There's 4
on the
people
air.
on air on it now. It's not just Matt and Ryan. There's 4 people on air.
4 of us. That's right. Out the door, across the street, into our hotel where we were staying the whole time, live on the air the whole time, while our engineer, tech guys carrying the equipment. We've all got our headsets on, walking across the street after we got kicked out of the Peabody. So we ain't as big as we think we are, Gary.
No, well, that's just funny that it just, yeah, that's pretty incredible but you got it on. I bet it was great radio though.
It was a good radio.
But for the Paul Harvey moment, and now for the rest of the story, to show you how big KSR actually is.
The fan base went after the Peabody and started tweeting them. I can't believe you kicked them out. What would you? I'm canceling my reservations. I was going to stay there this summer. I'm not going to stay there. You guys did a bad thing. At the end of the show, we noticed there's a man and a woman standing there waiting on us. We finished the show. They were from the Peabody. They came over and said, look, we just want to come over and apologize. We didn't handle this very well. We usually get 4 tweets a day. We got 200 in an hour. We apologize. What can we do to make it up for you? We want to ask you guys to come and be the Duck Masters tomorrow to get to lead the Ducks out of the elevator to the fountain.
Holy cow.
Way to say we're sorry. We want you guys to come be our Duck Masters tomorrow. Would you accept our apology? So
That's
they went from
crazy.
picking us out to asking us to be the Duck Masters the next day.
Do you think they just didn't know who you were kind of thing? Because obviously you're in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And did they just not know kind of thing?
The tournament's going on, and there's people. I mean, there's radio and media people everywhere.
Yeah.
So you can't really not know that there are people that's going to be doing something, like this. So I mean, they would have to be completely blind. The UNC was staying in this hotel.
That's right.
Because they were the top seed, and the top seed gets to pick which hotel you stay in. So UNC was there. In fact, the next day, the Duck Master was Roy Williams.
That's right.
But so anyway, how did you get you got like the low man on the totem pole in this deal? You had to sit and actually do the radio live while Matt, Shannon, and Drew got to actually lead the Ducks out.
The Ducks come out at noon Eastern. Our show goes until noon Eastern, and they wanted them over there 15 minutes early to kind of train them. They had to have Duck Master training, Gary. So somebody had to stay and do the last 15 minutes of the show. I guess I'm low man on totem pole. I'm the grandpa of the group. I'm the oldest one. So the other 3 guys went. I did the final segment, but I did. As soon as we got done, ran across the street and sat down and got to see it. I mean, I got there really just in the nick of time to see it. It's a big deal. I mean, it's like Oprah, only the not wealthy, but the famous people get to do this. And here's Matt and Drew and Shannon from our Rink-a-Dink radio show leading these Ducks out.
I haven't even listened. I need to go back and listen to that episode because I never knew how it turned out. I woke up. I get up, work second shift, so I woke up at 11:30. And my parents comes up on my phone and it says, Matt Jones live at the Peabody leading the Ducks. And I'm like, what the hell? They just got to go out of there. So I turned it on live as I'm getting ready, and watching this whole ordeal, because I guess Tyler was the Tyler that followed him around. Periscoped the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's insane. So,
I think they were just embarrassed for the bad PR they got for the people.
Oh yeah, that's obvious. Yeah, they weren't doing it because they felt bad. They were doing it because they got their butt handed to them,
Exactly.
and the fans came out and said, "You're done. We're going to take care of you." That shows you what a fan base will do.
Yeah, especially Kentucky. I mean, you have large fan bases, especially in football. Alabama, Michigan, and all that stuff. But for basketball, it's one sport, and the Big Blue Nation they are loyal. They're like NASCAR fans. I mean, they are so loyal. It's like this whole John Higgins thing, which is, completely wrong what people are doing. But, you get a group of people, it's almost like a mob mentality, and unfortunately you get your shitty fans that are just, that are part of that too. So Kentucky fans right now are getting a bad name, basically, all because of a few idiots out there.
Sometimes your shitty fans are the ones that are the loudest.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happened in this situation, that they some people took it upon themselves to contact this referee. Some of them went a little too far with, allegedly death threats and things like that, which makes us all, like Dwayne, makes us all look bad. Makes us all look like we're idiots.
Yeah.
Well,
the media is not going to focus on the small school where the fans are slamming the ref. They're going to find the big school. And when that happens, it just,
Well, it's gotten to the point where headlines rule all, so everyone wants their headline and they'll make it. You know what I mean? Something that it's happened. Sports is sports. It's not like this is the first time this has happened. And don't get me wrong, it still doesn't make it right. But they got to sensationalize it because they want to get the clicks. They want to get, and that's the part I have a problem with sports today, is that even politics has gotten involved in sports, and it drives me nuts. I can't take it. I'm like, I just want my sports. Entertain me. Like we were talking about in that should college athletes be paid thing, and I'm all, I want to hear anything from a college athlete. Go to school and entertain me. And when you become a pro, again, keep your mouth shut. I don't care about your political views, just like actors and actresses in Hollywood. I don't care. Shut up and entertain me.
One day when we get mad on here, him and Gary are going to have some good conversations.
Yeah.
And that's what's made sports hard for me growing older. And now they've sensationalized it. Now it gives Kentucky a black eye just because it's the media pushing the agenda. Like I said, don't get me wrong. It's not right.
Yeah, it's Final Four weekend. And, the focus is on college basketball. And this is a big story this week about how Kentucky fans, all of us, went after this referee. It may have been a select handful. It's the Kentucky fans went after that guy.
Yeah. And it's only certain reporters too. It's not like it's the whole media coming down on it. It's these little small group of reporters that are Kentucky haters, and they just wait for that moment when they can pounce and just completely try to take down everybody at once. And they just salivate. When they just wait, their whole thing is, they're quiet. Kentucky gets beat, boom, here they are. That's all you hear is their voice. Because that's all they've waited for the whole season.
That's sports, I mean, people are passionate about their teams, and that's tough too. I mean, that's a good thing about, for me, and I get a different perspective. I'm a California guy. So I grew up in California. Sports are quite a bit different in California, as far as college sports especially. We don't take it nearly as seriously as everyone else does. And once I left at 18 and, I went to San Diego State, and then from there I went to the military, and I've lived all over the country, been all over the country. And to see, like I lived in Nebraska, went to several Nebraska games to experience them. I was like, holy cow, these people are serious, man. Yeah. They don't screw around. And to see how passionate, especially the Midwest. The Midwest is a far different sports crowd than I think the rest of the country.
Well, I think I would maybe put the South over that too, though. I mean,
the South, big time. Yeah, exactly. But I looked at the Midwest because that's where I first experienced it. The South, for sure. And I think a lot of people in the country misunderstand how that works. I mean, there's a lot of places that didn't have pro sports. The South traditionally didn't have pro sports. They do now. Some parts do have pro sports now, but they didn't have very much. But with the expansions of the NBA, NFL, now they've got and Major League Baseball too. I mean, there's teams down there now. But yeah,
it doesn't take away that the college fan and the pro fan are just two different.
They're way different
species.
Yeah, especially like for us, and Dwayne don't know what I'm talking about. In our state, Kentucky, we don't have a lot to be proud of. Nationally, our income levels are low, our education levels are low, unemployment levels, everything is horrible. But the one thing we can stand up and pound our chest about is Kentucky basketball. Across the state, something we can be proud of that we've got. What we got? We got Kentucky Fried Chicken, the Kentucky Derby, bourbon, Kentucky basketball. I mean, it's just something we can be proud of, and I think that's why our fan base is so. You agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally that way because through Kentucky Sports Radio, it shows this bond between fans. Because like say there was a tornado in what was the small town?
West Liberty.
In West Liberty.
Yeah.
So there's this tornado in West Liberty, and West Liberty asked KSR to come out, or Matt contacted them, however it happened, and they come out and they do kind of a fundraiser for it. Well, this big show has these super loyal followers, and it did amazing. Cal flies in on a helicopter to do the show that day, and they raised a ton of money for this little small town. Because Big Blue Nation all over the state just
you feel for you.
They
we're the first to lend a helping hand with each other. So for the bad points about our fan base, there are those good points in a situation just like that. We're the first to lend a helping hand to one of our own for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and in small communities, sports are very important. And that's I think another thing. I come from even though I'm from California, I come from a very rural area, very rural, and sports were important. Then I've spent a lot of time in Texas. Holy cow. You want to see small town sports and how people take seriously sports.
$50 million sports complexes for a high school football team.
Oh, it's no joke. But what it does, and this is why, even though I gave my rants on the should college players be paid thing, and like I said, people probably thought I was some pencil neck geek who never played sports, and that's not even close to the truth. I said the good thing of sports is it brings communities together. It teaches kids how to persevere, teamwork, participating in events, feeling like they're doing something special, in a way. It's character building. Mm-hmm. And sports really does teach that. I don't think that, people now they'll go the opposite side. They go, oh, so I didn't play sports, so I'm a loser. No, but sports, there's a lot to it. And it comes from traditionally, like I said, of our tribal heritage and our hunter-gatherer. We had athletic events. I mean, where do you think the gladiator games came from? I mean, that came from communities actually and groups participating against each other. That's where the Olympics came from. This has been in our culture forever. Mm-hmm. It's not going away. I think the passion of sports, it's just so amazing. And to hear your story of how you turned something, a passion of yours and a passion of the community, and now it's something totally, in a way, different because, like Dwayne was saying, sports is a part of it. Mm-hmm. But you talk about a lot of other things. Because let's face it, you can get sports 24 hours a day now.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, I can't get bombarded by that all day. I'm a sports fan, but I have a rough time with ESPN anymore. Can we talk about something a little different?
Yeah.
And again,
beast now. ESPN is a different beast now. And the thing about what I love about KSR is, even though you guys don't talk about sports the whole time, it's a narrative. Yesterday, Matt and Ryan are on a subject, and it's probably one of the best shows that I've heard in a long time. And about halfway through the show, some guy calls in asking to recap it, and Matt's like, that's not going to happen. We do this show as a novel. We start here, we have a middle, and we have an end. And not unlike other sports shows where they reset every 30 minutes. He's like, if you get it in the middle, I'm sorry. You're going to be entertained the rest of the way if you start listening. But I'm not going to go back and repeat myself. And that's the beauty of it, because people listen to the radio show 2 hours.
Wow.
And they pick up the podcast and they listen to the whole podcast because it's so unique, because it tells this narrative every day of something, and it always starts out with a story from Matt. And one of the things about when you get popular and when you're good at something like radio or television, things happen to you. To make it more interesting, it seems like Matt is a constant shit happening to him every single day that there's a story. And it was the same way with Stern. Stern always has stories of things that happen, and it personalizes it.
Yeah,
everybody knows Ryan's life. Everybody knows. Ryan has 3 adopted kids and he's in a mixed race marriage and all this stuff. And it all and it's not, they're not just talking heads. They are who they are. They're real. They're not putting on a show out there. And it's amazing to see what it's done.
I like what you said. You try to personalize it, like you said, and like ESPN radio, every 15 minutes they have to repeat the lead story because their philosophy is you only listen for radio in short segments of time, so we have to repeat it so the new listeners hear what we're talking about. Our philosophy is no, we want you the whole time. We want you to tune in from start to finish so you won't miss it. And I think I think it's helped.
Yeah,
the success.
It has. I mean, if you look at their ratings, they have ratings that I have never heard of for any other station except maybe Terry Miners in his prime on H84.
Yeah,
and it's crazy, but it's not just the ratings that they have 22 share or whatever. It's the amount of time people listening is ungodly.
Yeah. It's in this day and age of radio. I don't know how we're doing it.
I don't either.
I don't know how we're doing it.
I like that. How'd you do it? I don't know.
We're just a couple buddies in there talking about stuff that like the three of us are talking about right now. Just whatever we want to talk about and run with it.
Yeah. And so how much happier are you now than you were 10 years ago as far as your job goes?
That's a great question because like we talked about, when you work at the TV station, you're working shitty hours for shitty money, nights, weekends, and no money. You can't have a family life. You can't be a dad if your kids are going to school in the morning when you're in bed, and when you come home from work, they're in bed. So to answer your question, I am 1,000% happier. The radio show is from 10 to 12, and after the radio show's over, I can take that Navy hat off back there and put on my real estate hat on, and be the realtor the rest of the day until maybe we got a pregame show that night for UK basketball. Or if my kid has a game, my schedule's free enough where I can go to his games. I can go to I'm one of those dads. I go to all the practices. I go to all the games. But yet I can be flexible enough that I can do what I want to do at this point in my life. So to answer your question, I'm a ton happier. Now I miss working with Dwayne though, Gary. That's the only bad part. I work with Dwayne every day.
Yeah. And that's, I want to look at it as us like, hey, I'm in my travel trailer. People understand I'm doing this for my travel trailer. I'm a weird guy. I travel around. I have my house in Washington. I leave for the winter now. And with technology, you can do this anywhere.
Right.
And the reason me and Dwayne do it, it's not because, we're here to get rich or anything. We enjoy it. We wanted to do this. We've been planning on this for years to put it together. And, I went, I don't care if anyone listens. We just got to do it, and continue to do it. And what you've shown is that you persevered. You put in the time, and you kept pursuing it, and it all, it worked out. Now for everyone, will it work out? No, that's life.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. But in today's day and age, you can at least try it. I mean, think of what you guys had to go through 20 years ago as compared to now. I mean, anyone can have a show now. Will anyone watch it? Well, maybe not, but you can still have your own show. And to me, this is the fun stuff. I mean, it just getting and talking about sports and the passions and the stories. Hey, like I said, if no one was to watch this or listen to this, we would do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Here's the dirty little secret, though. Ryan doesn't have to edit the podcast. Ryan doesn't put it up, so he has the easy part of it.
That's true.
He's not putting in the 2 hours that I put in after this, just to
get
it ready. On there. Yeah,
but that's a good point. We're doing what we love, but at the same time, anything will work if you work hard at it.
Yeah.
You guys, you've got to do this once or twice a week. You've got to work hard at your job if you want it to work. And I think that's a good lesson that we've all had to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And for us, it's all about, we talked about this in that entrepreneurship podcast too, is if you go into anything looking for money first, you've already blown it.
You're exactly right.
You've already screwed up. Yeah. I mean, and you always heard that when we were growing up, right? What our grandparents say, mainly my grandparents, what they said, my grandpa, do what you enjoy.
Yeah. To
a point. You'd always say to a point. That doesn't mean go play with, your micronauts out in the front yard or, that's not you got to do something you enjoy. That's a way you could get paid or make a living off of. Can't be an idiot. But if you do it right and you put in the time, and you perfect basically your skill and become better and better at it, worst case scenario, you'll probably be able to make a living off it. That's the way I look at it. And if you can't do it and it's not going to do it on the side, every one of us here, all three of us have done it on the side.
That's right. Yeah.
The best time to pursue something else is when you have a job.
That's right.
You may hate the job. It may suck. And I'll tell you what, they don't call it work. It's fun. If it was fun, I'd be going, hey, guys, I'm going to go to fun today. And they'll spend 8 hours having fun. It doesn't work that way. There's going to be some sacrifice and some pain in it. But in the end, man, I mean, Ryan and Matt's story is golden. I mean, it really is.
It is.
I mean, it inspires me. It inspires me and what me and Dwayne are doing.
Yeah. And I guarantee the level of success that Matt has now is more than he would have probably had as a lawyer doing what he was doing, and it's opened up avenues for him that have never been open, that would not have been available to him otherwise. I mean, he's a very political minded person, and he started the New Kentucky Project to further the Democratic Party. So he's gotten into politics, and he's got this loyal viewership. And here's the crazy thing: he's this liberal Democrat, but his following, I bet you 90% of the people that listen to you guys are on the other side.
Oh, he knows that. He knows that. There's no doubt about that. Because all of Eastern Kentucky that voted Trump, but you know what? They're still listening to this crazy Democrat do our radio show every day.
To me, that's the most insane thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Well, and the fact that he can bring politics in tells me you guys are doing it right, because for me, I don't want to hear it most of the time. But there are times when people bring politics into sports because they do intertwine here and there.
Yeah.
As long as it's interesting, I'll listen.
They did 2 weeks on the road, the first week at the Democratic National Convention and the second week at the Republican National Convention. And that's how the power of the show and the power of Matt, because the station didn't want to do it, but Matt said, look, it's going to be great radio. And they let him do it. And it's been my favorite 2 weeks of that show.
Me too. And I am the least political person you will ever meet or ever talk to. And those were two of the best weeks of shows we've ever done.
Yeah. They were right next to where Alex Jones went up on the Young Turk stage and tried to tried to do that. And him and Jake Uger almost got into a fight.
Oh.
But, all these politicians will be walking around and their PR guys like, hey, you want to have him on? Hey, you want to have him on? Like, no, we're good.
Yeah.
We don't need him. Yeah, we'll just do our own thing.
Yeah. It's a great way to show that how you did it too, because a lot of people, I don't think I'm alone in the sense that I don't like politics in my sports. But if you do it right and it's engaging and entertaining, well, then it's great. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
And I think that's where ESPN is a perfect example of that. Since they got bought out by ABC, I think it's been about 7 years. You can see how ESPN has changed. Mm-hmm. And it is nothing like it used to be.
You're right about that.
And it actually pisses a lot of people off because they're not entertaining you anymore.
Yeah.
They're trying to push a political view. And that's why I say I can have politics in my sports if it's entertaining. But most of the time it's not. So if you guys have swung that around and done that, that's pretty amazing.
They do it in a very skillful way. I mean, they definitely do it in a very skillful way because, and Matt is sensitive to it enough that he can get his little jabs in there, but yet, he's got some people between him saying, I'm never listening to the show again, but Matt's like, fine. It's the same, but it's the same people that are like, you guys don't talk enough sports. I'm done with you guys. But then a week later, they listen to 7 or 8 more hours of it.
That's how I know we're doing our job. People, Louisville fans say, I've never listened to you again, but yet then they're listening again next week. The political people. You guys talk too much politics, stick to sports, but yet they still listen.
The number of Louisville fans that listen to this station because it's entertaining, it could not be that popular in Louisville without Louisville fans listening.
There's no doubt.
Because it couldn't just be 100% of the Louisville, Kentucky fans that they're listening to it. So you guys are drawing in a big portion. And a lot of Louisville fans say, you're the only place where we can get news about U of L.
Louisville news, yeah.
Because all this scandal's going on, and Louisville media just shut it down. They don't even talk about it. But Matt talks about it ad nauseum. So Louisville fans tune into him to see what's going on,
That is insane.
Yeah.
But that makes sense that the Louisville area just says, oh no, we're not gonna talk about this. And you're right. And that stuff's important too, because you have to get into the dirty side of college sports. You can't avoid it. It can't be all puppy dogs and butterflies. College sports has a nasty underbelly to it. It just does. And it's not specific to any college or location. It's the way it is. And if you don't talk about it, I think you're doing a disservice to the listener. Because you have to understand, because there's so much bad news out there and bad information anymore. And coming from guys who have no axe to grind, it helps to learn for me as a sports fan. Because, the Louisville stuff, I kind of have a little bit of what's gone on. But, you're right. It's not covered as much as you think it would be.
And it should be. The two biggest scandals out there right now are Louisville and North Carolina, and the NCAA is just kind of letting it go.
The North Carolina one has been completely swept under the carput.
Yeah.
And that one's a nasty one.
With the Final Four this weekend,
Four.
Those reporters from the New York Times and the not non-sports reporters, if they jump on that North Carolina story now.
Yeah, I'll be curious too. North Carolina is such a powerful sports program, and the NCAA obviously does not want anything bad coming out. I find it interesting that anything that's big and has its own bureaucracy does that, plays their favorites.
Yeah.
Because, we were talking about SMU, how when SMU basically got the death penalty, they hammered SMU.
Oh, yeah.
But Miami's done far worse than that, like 3 times. And Miami just goes right on by. And it's funny how the NCAA picks its favorites. See it. And that's why I think it's important for people like you guys bringing this stuff out so we can hear it. Because no one else wants to do it because it's offensive. But college sports, the only way you fix the issues in college sports is if the fan understands what is really going on. Because as a fan, to me, I've said this many times, I'm a firm believer if a school gets caught breaking significant rules, you're done. I mean, you are done. Hammer the axe on them. These are student athletes first. College is a place for higher education. It's not a place for sports first. Even though I know that's a weird thing to say in today, but I hate to bring it to people. College is a college. It is not a sports program or a JV program for the pros, even though it can be instituted that way. And the only way you make it change is it's even and the penalties go across the board for everyone. You screw up and make it clear. You don't make an example of SMU. You make an example of Miami, North Carolina,
exactly,
Louisville. You go after them and you shut them down, and I guarantee all the other colleges will go, oh boy.
Yeah,
we better pay attention.
Better pay attention and clean up our backyard.
Because by crushing those sports programs, you can literally put those colleges out of business.
Exactly.
And people could say that's pretty harsh, Gary, but no. I mean, these are criminal acts. These are acts.
What happened to U of L was I mean, that is as bad as anything Miami ever did.
I love this. The NCAA report that they sent back to U of L, their response, where they said it was $120 per sex act. Louisville was trying to argue, no, it was $120. It was $80 a sex act. Well, the NCAA said, look, I don't care if it's $120 or I don't care if it's $80. It was still you paid for a sex act. That's the bottom line here.
And they got a new infractions officer in there. And the first time that the U of L allegations came out and they sent the letter of allegations, it wasn't worded strongly. This guy was like, I'm tired of your bullshit.
Yeah.
And they wrote like a 130-page letter to him that said, I don't care if Pitino says he didn't know shit. It was on his watch. If he didn't know anything, it's on him.
That's right.
So I'm curious to see now if this new guy, and they sent another one to North Carolina that says, look, you had fake classes. We're gonna deal with this. So I'm curious to see what comes out of it.
Well, and college sports has gotten pretty dirty, and that's why they need to start leveling down the hammer and start making some changes. I mean, look at USC. They took away their national championships. Did they took away one or was it 2? I cannot remember. I know there was one.
It was the one that Bush was
Reggie Bush was in.
And then took away the Heisman. But still, they let the program float. The program still survived, and they made the penalties to where it could survive.
Yeah.
Under those conditions, I liked it in the sense that they finally took a national championship away, which should be done. You need to prove to these schools. But what I would do, I'd take it a step further and go, oh, by the way, all the money you made off that, you now have to pay back. All the TV rights, all the
would do it right there.
Yeah, and go, oh, you're going to pay it back. You're going to pay it back. And we're going to knock your program out for, say, 5 years. No, you're not reduction in scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
Their football program is done. There will be no football program. I think if you started doing that, it would change the face of college sports. Just like anything in life, like you guys talk about when you talk about politics, and I had to deal with that in my career and dealing with these politicians and all this crap. You know, everyone talks about tax reform. Well, the simplest tax reform is a flat tax that you can't get around with any write-offs. But that's the solution.
Yeah.
No one wants the solution because you can't work around that solution. You can't have special interest in that solution. And it's just like the NCAA. If you lay down the hammer and you make everything across the board, the penalties, and you delineate it, you say, we're setting out this new set of rules. And it's like 20 pages, not 500 or 1,000. It's 20 pages. Here are your rules. You violate, here's the penalty. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. Well, that's a solution. No one's going to sign. The NCAA is never going to sign off on a solution, because then they go, "Oh, we got to play by the rules now. Oh, that's not going to work. We can't make more money and influence things." And because imagine all the gambling that's going on in college sports that no one's talking about. You remember that kid, the guy? I don't know if you guys covered this, Ryan. The kid at USD that got caught. And it was a big deal. He was a pro. Oh, what was his name? It was this huge scandal. Did their program go away? No. And I mean, it was boosters. It was him. I'm trying to remember this kid's name. If you look up, it's University of California, San Diego.
We didn't hear about it.
Well, and it's a small school. It's where Harbaugh started in his college. That's where he was. His college football coaching started. Real small, expensive private school. But I mean, I think there was drugs, there was point shaving. It had everything you can imagine.
Wow.
But that school, and it's primarily a law school. So guess what? That stuff went away. And when I heard about that, I went, oh, that program should be done. Yeah. Done. Gone. And they try and blame the kid. All on the kid. I go, yeah, sure, the kid. But you're obviously, if the kid's shaving points off games, and not just him, a couple other people, and you can't figure that shit out, you're an idiot. You're not paying attention at all. So you should be penalized anyway. You know, if you're that stupid, you should be penalized for stupidity. You know, and that's the thing. They always plead this, well, like Patino, I didn't know. Oh, I don't care. Yeah. You're the coach.
Yeah.
It starts at the top. And you're going to be the first head to go. The first head to lop off is the top of the food chain. I'd go after the athletic director first. I'd go after the coach next, and then I'd go after the program. But I know I'm on a rant, but it just pisses me off.
All right. Well, Ryan's got to go sell houses, so let's wrap this puppy up. So I'm glad you did this show with us today.
I enjoyed it.
I've known the story from outside, and I think people need to know that story because it's a wonderful story about just how life flows, and we're old dudes doing new tricks. I've been wanting to do this for years, and I'm happy to have you on a show of mine, even though we have 300 listeners per episode or whatever.
But we got millions
and millions.
Yes.
But how do people check out the show that are all over the country if they want to check you guys out?
We're on iHeart. That's the thing where, and I really kind of think it's cool when some of our military overseas can listen to the show live on iHeart. So iHeart Radio with the WLAP. That's our home station in Lexington, WLAP. And the home station is Louisville is WKJK. And both of those stations are on iHeart. So they can be listened to, literally across the world. We've had people call in from Korea. And we had it from Ireland. It blows my mind when people call in listening to the show live from overseas somewhere. So that's the easiest way to do it for sure.
And then on iTunes, you can download the podcast. If you put in Kentucky Sports Radio, a couple of things come up. But I mean, the other podcasts are great too. Freddie and Tyler and Matt's podcast. So check that out. What's your Twitter handle?
Ryan Lemon, at Ryan Lemon. And I want to tweet this out. Send it to me so we can tweet this out today too.
Yeah, we'll get that out. And this will go up. This will go up Monday. So, thanks a lot for being on here.
I appreciate
can't tell
it.
you how much I appreciate
you guys. You guys are interesting. Just like I said, we're just sitting around, like three dudes having a beer and talking a little bit. It's kind of
cool.
Cool.
You know what, Ryan? Anytime you want to come on and let's talk. I mean, I'm a sports guy too. I'm a sports junkie. But I'll talk about anything. I'm one of those guys that I don't care, and people get my opinion. They may not like it, but you're going to get the honest Gary. You're not going to get any. I'm not going to candy code anything. Well, and I think we're all the same way.
Yeah, like you said, you personalize it. They want that. People can know when you're, feeding a bunch of bull crap.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a different platform for me, which makes it different because my other stuff, my other business, and I'm in health and in the survivalist communities and all that. So I do podcasts and do stuff on other things. So for me, this is great because I have a wide open forum. I have to talk, you can only answer so many health questions before your eyes roll back in your head. You do it for 5-6 years. You're like, okay, I love doing this stuff, but yes, you must reduce sugar in order to lose weight. How many times I've said that like 1 million times, it's like, I want to talk about something else, every once in a while. So yeah, anytime you got a good topic to come on,
awesome.
Come on. I mean, heck, the Final Four, actually the North Carolina deal, if that catches some steam, that might be good to talk about.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Old Dudes Podcast. Go to iTunes. Please, if you're listening to this if you download us on iTunes, please go and write us a review. That helps boost us, and we can get our voice out to more people. Go to our YouTube channel. Just search Old Dudes New Tricks on the YouTube channel because we do this on video if you're just listening on the podcast, so you can see actually what we look like, and I'm sure that's going to be awesome for you.
Yeah.
Check us out there. Go to our webpage, Old Dudes New Tricks. Look at the blog. We're going to start putting things up there and extra things on YouTube. So we've got a plan out here, but make sure you go on and review us. Let us know how we're doing. If you want to hear a topic, please let us know what you want to talk about. Especially look at Gary's background, health, fitness. If you have questions, let Gary know. So make sure you check us out, and I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys listening. So we'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.